Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of a Better Magic podcast. This is your host, Jared, from Team Better Magic, hanging out with my buds. Today we've got Jeremy, Ronnie, and Nick. Those are all guys you know. And we've got our buddy Cameron with us today, so he'll have to give you guys a little bit of an introduction, let you know about how he plays Magic and all about himself. And that'll be really cool, and hopefully we'll have him as a recurring co-host. Today we really just want to talk about how our pre-releases went for the pre-release of Fate Reforged, right? We had a ton of fun. We had some wins, we had some losses. We filled out all the cards a bit, so we have a better idea of how they play, so we want to talk to you about that. We definitely want to talk to you about all the banned and reserved list changes that came out today. We're recording this on a Monday, so it came out this morning. And that's super exciting, and it's shaking up all sorts of fun stuff in constructed formats and in the finance world. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I think we're going to talk kind of in the wake of that about maybe how some of the things are going to change in some of the older constructed formats, and then we're going to look forward a little bit to how we think the standard meta is going to shift now that all these new cards are out, which we get to play at the end of this week. So that's super exciting. So everybody say hey. What's going on, guys?
Hey!
Hello.
That was cute. That was super good. Awesome. So we've got, like I said, we've got Jeremy here, we've got Nick and Ronnie here, and we've got Cameron too. So Cameron, if you want to do the audience a solid and tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience with Magic.
Okay. Well, I'm a 4-year player. I started out like any other player would, going to, the toolboxes and stuff. One day I bought a toolbox. I was invited to a draft. I met this guy named Jared. Thought he was a very creepy person.
That's good. This is a good story so far. Continue.
Yeah. He was trying to trade with me, and I was like, I don't really know how to do this. So I showed him my mill deck, 160 cards. That was the library.
Nice.
It had 160 cards in it. I was basically like, I need 4 copies of every card, and that was part of the deck. I played the draft. I ended up opening a Gravedigger that I traded to somebody. Doesn't matter. I placed second, and I was like, man, I really like this stuff. So over the course of months, I continued to draft. I get to know Jared, and eventually we just became good friends and started this group, Better Magic. I play Modern, and I play Draft. I've dabbled in Standard a little bit, but I don't like how inconsistent it is and the fact that it's just changing.
The Deck Builder's Toolkit, I think, is actually a really cool product for beginning players. Honestly, I do. I mean, they give them, however many booster packs, so they get some rares. They get, like, all the good uncommons that you want out of something like a core set. So those are cool. Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit. Actually, we'll probably talk at length about our pre-release experience. So this last Saturday and Sunday, and there were a lot of stores do midnight releases on Friday because it's legal for them to open those. Literally, Wizards is like, it's cool for you to open these booster packs, at like 12:01 and give them out to your players and kick off your pre-release events. So on Saturday was a pre-release event for Fate Reforged, right? And the story with Fate Reforged is Sarkinvol is like, you know what? I'm going to go and save the Crazy Spirit Dragon Ugin on my plane, 1,280 years in the past. I'm going to use some crazy time travel magic and go back and do that. And we get a glimpse at what the world was like 1,280 years ago, which is super cool, right? And the way the pre-release worked is essentially ever since I think it was starting with Innistrad, right? They did they essentially add a story to the pre-release, because before pre-releases are like, oh, you get your booster packs, it's just sealed, blah de blah. It's pretty boring. But they've done a lot of what's called experiential design to essentially design these grand experiences for the people who maybe only experience Magic at something like a pre-release, right? So they want to build a story, they want to build an event around it. And so the event for Fate Reforged is that we as Planeswalkers were helping to heal the Spirit Dragon Ugin, right, and bring him back from the grave, which was pretty cool. So so you got to choose one of the 5 clans that hang out on Tarkir, and they're all fighting these dragons that represent the different color combinations, 2 color combinations of Magic. And when you chose your clan, you would get you got a seeded booster pack that was guaranteed to have cards in that clan's 3 color identity. You also got, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you also got 4 booster packs of Fate Reforged, that seeded pack, and a booster pack of Khans of Tarkir, which was really cool because going into it, I thought we were going to get 3 and 3, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're used to. That's kind of the precedent they set. So that was, I don't know, that was interesting to me. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, I think in our last podcast we worried about Manifest and Morph. So by them having 4 packs of Manifest-worthy cards and 1 pack of Morph, I guess it limited the amount of issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree. It worked out in the end, but we were totally expecting 3 and 3. I mean, even numbers, Cons and Fate Reforged.
Yeah, no, I think that's a super good point. So essentially, Wizards, kind of forced us into playing a format that's not real, right? Like kind of a fake format, because when you play sealed, normally, excuse me, in Fate Reforged and Khans of Tarkir, you're going to get 3 of each booster pack. That's just how it is. So it's a little strange as far as the limited environment goes. But it was fun. It was super cool. I think we all built some really awesome decks and had a really good time of it. I thought the format was pretty fairly balanced among all the different clans, among all the different color identities. There are definitely some cards that stood out. Definitely some bombs. Definitely some cards that I thought were playable that weren't. Do you guys want to take just kind of a shot at everybody's experience and everybody's deck? So Cam, you want to go ahead and tell us about your pre-release experience? You won like 2 pre-releases in a row, right? Like that's crazy. Like tell us about that.
Well, I was doing standard, and I just so happened to like come in to hang out with a buddy. They had a free standard event, so I don't play standard. I was like, all right, what do I do? I came here to draft. They didn't have enough people to fire a draft, so I asked to borrow a deck. Somebody hands me this Esper control list that doesn't have all the planeswalkers and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I will just go into my binder and edit this a little bit. So I did that, played Esper control, and I won the standard event, so I'm like, okay. So happens at the store you can put your packs towards store credit. $3.50 is 1 pack, so 6 packs, $3.50, $21 in store credit. Paid $4 for my first pre-release.
What clan pack did you get at the first pre-release?
I got Sultai.
Okay.
I ended up Bant.
Oh, so essentially a shard, right? Not a clan that's actually supported by a lot of the fixing in the format, right?
Yeah, I was like, I gotta play my most powerful cards, and white was just more powerful than black in that first pre-release.
So, I mean, what were your best cards? What were your bombs?
Well, I really enjoyed playing my Dragon Scale General, the 4/3 Outlaster from the last set that gives lifelink to all creatures with +1.
3/2?
Oh, 3/2, yeah.
4 mana 3/2, yeah.
You outlasted me.
Abzan Battle Priest, yeah.
Abzan Battle Priest, thank you. He along with other cards that just naturally tap allowed me to put 1/1 counters on creatures and just distribute them like crazy, gaining life on all those creatures, or long shot squad, reach.
Yeah.
I just did that, and I'm like, okay, my dudes get bigger each turn. What can they play against that? Against dudes that get big and big and big. That card, along with my 2 Dragon Scale Generals and the Sand Steppy Outlaster, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Sand Step.
Yeah.
Sand
Okay.
Steppin'. Sand Steepy.
Abzan Battle Priest, my Sandblast.
I still can't tell how good Sandblast is. Like I think it's still good. Like I think it's actually a little underrated, but I don't know if I can bring myself to like it more than I do.
The reason I used it and I enjoyed using it was because it just kills the creature that they're just making bigger
Right.
from Citadel Siege.
Yeah, but I mean that's a very, very specific scenario,
Well,
right? You know what I'm saying? I mean in general is
Yeah.
dealing 5 for 3 mana, right? Like is it always better than a kill shot, I guess? I mean it does target a blocking creature as well, right? But
Yep.
like there becomes a point where it's not unconditional.
Oh yeah,
removal,
and
right?
it's
Like
easy to
it's
get
conditional.
past
Right.
It's so easy to get past that point in this format because bolster is a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's like amazing,
Yeah.
but I will say that it's better than most removal spells.
Okay. No, that's cool. I mean, I think I agree too. I had 1 copy, and I mean, I liked it. Every time I played it, I thought it was, I never felt bad drawing it, but I don't know. I'm going to have to play it some more. What about your second day? What'd you play?
Oh, well, that was Mardu.
Got it. So your first one you went Soul type but ended up playing Bant, and your second pre-release, which you also won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Brutal Horde Chief.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that deck.
Brutal Horde Chief, Mardu Strike Leader. that was the deck. It was literally get in with little dudes and make them block my little dudes while
Did you like Strike Leader? Like I had 2 different people play Strike Leader against me, and I beat it both times. Like it just was not a lot of pressure.
I beat it too. It depends against. It's probably more of like the decks you play against. Like what were you playing?
I won the day with a good Mardu deck, and Strike Leader I know probably wouldn't have been that great in my deck, and I played against people with similar decks, and it just never felt like it was a threat against me, right?
Okay, so if you have a Brutal Horde Chief out and Mardu Strike Leader, that's
good,
a
but
game.
good. No, it's very good. It's incredibly good, but it's it's still best case scenario mentality, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like again, every time I was played against me, I was like, okay, like I can still just like kill this guy or block this guy. And now you got a 2/1, which is great. Like you got a built-in 2-for-1, but I mean, you also had to attack with a 2 toughness guy just to get a 2/1. Right? I mean, that's not great.
I didn't spend a lot on him though.
Yeah.
He if anything, he's gonna trade that early. I would think.
I guess. Yeah, I guess you get to trade up and then you get left with the 2/1. That's not bad, I guess.
And then if you have Brutal Horde Chief out, there you go.
Well, that's a myth.
Your guy doesn't die. Your guy doesn't die.
All right. Cool. Okay. Well, it sounds like you had a good time, and you stomped your way through, right? I mean, Jeremy, you want to tell us about your deck?
Sure. I'll start us off. All right. So I went Timmer because I explained in the last podcast why I was going to go Timmer in the first place. So I won't delve too much into why I did. So I was looking to open Shaman of the Great Hunt, obviously, since I was pretty sure I could have gotten it in my my pack, and then I didn't. I opened Shamanic Revelation, so yippee for me. That's super amazing.
Yeah.
God awful. But when I started opening my Fate Reforged packs, I opened double Shaman of the Great Hunt. So feel like we were pretty set in Timmer at that point, and
Seems nice.
Yeah.
it definitely seems nice. It was really nice. Well, we had like 42 people there. I finished third, so I mean, like, hey, I'm okay with that. So, other than the shamans, like the cards that stood out to me in my deck, Will of the Naga seemed like an amazing card. Just like delve for 2, you can 2 blue, 4 colorless, delve Icy Blast 2 guy, not Icy Blast, no Frost Breath 2 guys. That's just
How cheap were you usually playing that? Like, how often?
most of the time it was just 2 blue because it was the only delve card I had in my deck.
No, that's where you want to be.
So another card, Goblin Heel Cutter. Card was ridiculous. Especially with him plus my Shaman of the Great Hunt. Yeah, Goblin Heel Cutter sometimes had to come back, but he got my Shaman in to where my Shaman became a 5/3 and made it harder for them to take my Shaman out. Like I don't think there was ever a game where I didn't resolve my Shaman and like I didn't win. I mean, I won. Every time I resolved Shaman, I won. Another card I thought stood out in my deck was Aven Surveyors. Card seemed super good. I mean, like, you never want to put a 1/1 counter on it unless, like, you really just need to. But honestly, if you just need to, then you're probably farther behind than you think you are. But just bouncing a dude, getting that tempo in there, it seemed really good. I know, like, some people wouldn't agree with my choice on my 6 drops, but I was playing 2 Ambusher Crotic, I believe that's how you say it. It's 5/5 Trampler. Whenever he enters the battlefield, return another creature you control to your hand. So I would just, like, most of the time I just curve out with Aven Surveyor and then him. So that was pretty nice. There's also Fierce Invocation.
I like that card a lot. Yeah.
Manifest guy on the top of your library, put 2 1/1 counters on him. So just I get a 4/4 for 5. And
Okay.
that was another card I was impressed with, was that one. Just like manifesting 2 guys and then having one of them, having just them as like a surprise. Like, I mean, like, say you have a guy down and just like, oh, they're at 5 mana, they can just morph this guy up. Even though I'm pretty sure I think I had only 1 morph in my deck, which was a Snowhorn Rider.
But that is...
I mean, he only saw play once. He only saw play once.
Okay.
Because I never drew him. But so, other than Ambush, the last card I was really impressed with. I mean, like, I like my whole deck. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also had I had an Icy Blast. I mean, you can never go wrong with Icy Blast if you can trigger Paralysis. Which
That's
I mean, most of the time I
great
did.
card.
Like, I went 5-1 for the day. And the only reason I lost was because I got mana screwed game 2 and game 3 because I completely destroyed the guy game 1 and then proceeded to draw like no mana games 2 and games 3.
Yeah, that sucks.
But the last card I was really impressed with was man, I think it's a Mistfire Adept. The 3/3 prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, gain flying.
3/2. Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
he was a 3/3.
gosh.
He was a
That
3/3.
card is so good.
I actually, the last round when I needed to, I had him on the board. He was a 4/4. Yeah, he had a Hunt the Week counter on him. And, oh, yeah, really happy about Hunt the Week being back in Limited. It's really nice.
Me too. Yeah.
M14, man. I gotta love it.
I'm sitting there. I'm at 2 life. He's at 3 life. And I'm sitting there like, oh, need to top deck a instant or sorcery right here just to win the game. Top deck Ethereal Ambush, played it, and just like looked at him, was like, you're dead? And he just had to look at Misfire Adept, and I was just like, yeah, I give him flying.
Well, that's awesome. No, your deck was great, man. Your deck was really cool. I think Timmer would have been probably my second choice if I didn't choose Mardu, like I said I was going to. So, but no,
why didn't you? What do you got against Sultai?
It just for sealed, it's exactly, I don't know. Like, Sultai is pretty much exactly what you want to be doing in sealed, and I'd rather not just be with the pack. Like Mardu, I just wanted to beat down because we're gonna. Essentially, I got there because I got to attack people. I got to punish people for stumbling on 3 mana. Okay, Nick, Do you want to tell us about your pre-release experience?
Sure. I went Abzan seated. I can say that I had the most valued pulls in my packs. So for Abzan seated, the special pack, I ended up with Abzan Guide, Abzan Charm, Sandstep, the Tri-Land for Abzan. My 4 Fate Reforged packs, I had Soulfire Grandmaster, the uncommon white dragon that can't cast creatures, and I had Crux of Fate
Sweet.
along with a Sandstep Mastodon. So and my promo was Warden of the First Tree.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so like, of course, like my one cons pack, I pull the epic Ugin's Nexus. I really wanted to play it just for the lulz, but I actually wanted to play to win. But like my pre-release went pretty well. I ended up going 5-1 also. I ended up playing Jared round 3, I believe. I think is when we played, and we had real close games, all 3, and just every game that I played, perfect mana. Turn 2 like a parapet or a defender, and then turn 3 abs and Beastmaster. And I just started drawing extra cards every
Sweet.
turn. I think from my experience of pre-release, I can honestly say I'm the only one that got a Ugin +1 10 times and died. I took 30 points of damage from his 3 damage to target player.
From an Ugin? Are you serious?
From an
You had no
Ugin.
way to kill him?
No way to kill him. Me and the other guy were literally sitting there top decking lands,
Ugh.
and all he was doing was plus I don't know, is it +3 or +2?
I think it's +2. I guess we could look it up.
And he didn't ult. He didn't do any minus, because if he ulted, he would have been milled out.
Oh, yeah.
Lost the game. So, like, literally, he did the last 3 points of damage with his last card of his library in his hand. And so I can honestly say I'm the only one that got Ugin for 30 points of damage.
Wow, that is unique. That is
Yeah.
very rare.
Besides that, like, the deck was really strong, very valued. I had a great time. Played well, I think. All my games, I think I played up to the best of my ability and placed well. I ended up getting 4th. So,
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, you went on a good run, man.
but in the long run, like, our group finished 3 places out of the top 5. So
Yeah, that's pretty
we
representing, man.
coming from it was a very competitive pre-release, and we came there. We showed well and proved why we are as good as we say we are.
Yeah, man, it was a ton of fun.
So we're all planning on doing the PPTQ, right? The
I'm
sealed
not.
one?
Yeah, I'll probably do it. Luckily, we do have a PPTQ coming up in our hometown here in Indianapolis. There is a limited PPTQ which qualifies us for, I believe, regionals, which will be in Ohio, I want to say. I'll have to go check it out. But yeah, there is one coming
No,
up.
it's of your choice.
Oh, that's great. That's even better. But I think the closest one probably will be in Ohio.
Yep.
But that's that's something that I'm looking forward to for sure. All right, so I came to the pre-release with an idea of what I wanted to do. I had a plan. I stuck to it, and it played out exactly like I thought it would, right? So my plan was to go Mardu on the day, to stumble on people who are still trying to, read the cards, figure out what their cards did, figure out their strategy. My plan was to just go in there and attack, right? And it worked. Like, Mardu was very, very, very good to me. That's, red, black, and white, where some of the strongest removal spells were. Some of the most aggressive creatures were, so you could just keep attacking and attacking. So opened up my packs. In my pre-release, my seeded pack, I got a pre-release foil Butcher of the Horde. And if you guys, haven't seen that card, we talked about it a bit before, but it is truly brutal. Like, it lives up to its name. It's a 4-mana 3/3, 3 colors and a black. And I think we've compared this card to, Hell Rider, where whenever Creature you control attacks Hellrider, deals 1 damage to defending player. Right. Well, Brutal Horde Chief says whenever a creature you control attacks at all, right, the defending player loses 1 life, and you gain a life. So you're actually draining them for 1. And Brutal Horde Chief doesn't have to do anything but just be on the battlefield. So he's immensely powerful. He can turn a game right around just for you attacking with guys. So I got pretty lucky. My draws were fantastic. I was drawing hot all day. This guy came down on turn 4 plenty of times. And by that point, I had already played some other really valuable creatures. The one creature that really kind of stood out as an all-star, I know Cameron, we were talking about it a bit before, but the Sandstep Outcast. I mean, this guy was everywhere. I barely played a match where I didn't see Sandstep Outcast resolved one way or another. So he comes into play as a 2/1 for 3. A lot like, if you guys remember Seller of Songbirds, essentially does the same thing. So you pay 3 mana, you get a 2/1, which is a great attacker, right? And you also get to choose either to put a +1/+1 counter on it, so it can actually be a 3/2 for 3, which is already good at common, right? Or you can put a 1/1 white spirit token on with flying onto the battlefield. So an evasive, creature that comes along with this guy as a buddy. I mean, just getting that free 2-for-1 on turn 3 is incredibly powerful. Whereas like a Mardu Horde Chief, we had to attack first. Sometimes we were just suiciding guys to get another guy. This guy just gives you another guy, and the extra creature that you get is evasive. So this guy's just an all-star, hands down.
So, with Brutal Horde Chief, you would choose the Outcast's 1/1 flyer.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much always making a 1/1 flyer. I mean, regardless. I mean, getting a 2-for-1 rather than just kind of a bigger dude on curve is pretty much always better.
There might be cases where you have like a Bonkin or just something that you need.
Yeah, I think about 10% of the time you'll want to play into something like an Abzan Lord and get the +1/+1 counter on it. I think maybe 10 to 20% is probably right. You're absolutely right. But the rest of the time, I mean, at least 80% of the time you want the other guy.
They base it.
Right, and it makes a great target for all the other bolster stuff that's going on, because all of a sudden you have a 1/1 flyer that becomes like a 3/3 flyer.
Or a 4/4.
Or a 4/4, yeah. It's insane. So anyway, so Brutal Horde Chief got me there on the day for sure. The other card that was an all-star that I really want to spend a little bit of time talking about, that everyone I think has kind of overlooked a little bit and is a little underrated, was Citadel Siege, right? So this is a 4-mana enchantment. So you're spending an entire turn to play an enchantment. Let's get that out of the way. It's 2 colorless, a white and a white. As Citadel Siege enters the battlefield, you choose Khans or Dragons. So it's one of these modal cards. It's kind of a kitschy theme in Fate Reforged. If you choose Khans, then at the beginning of combat on your turn, so you just say I'm going to combat. You put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. So that is insane, right? If you choose Dragons, it says at the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, we get to tap a creature that they control. This mode is okay, like if you're behind on the board and you need to just do that, I guess, or if you think you're going to get super duper aggressive and tap down their guy so it's not able to block on when it's your turn to attack on the next turn, I guess, is something you could do.
I was wondering about that, like, when do you choose that mode over just the first mode? It's so
I
much
think
better.
if you're drawing it super late in the game and they've just got some giant walls that happen to be keeping you from doing like exactsies, I guess, like exact damage, lethal damage to kill them, you might choose that. But every time I saw this played, every time I played it, I resolved it a lot, right? One of the only other reasons I won was resolving this card. I mean, on its own, this card single-handedly wins games, especially in a format where you can turn dead cards like lands into 2/2s, right? Like, you have the ability to do that with a lot of the cards in the set. So if you choose Khans, right, let's say you're out of stuff to do, but you've got this on the battlefield, then it's amazing, because if you manifest the top card of your library, it's a land, whatever, who cares, you have a 2/2, you move to combat, all of a sudden you made a 4/4 on your turn, which is a really good way to start coming back, especially when the next turn is going to be an attacking 6/6. Like, this card is just straight up busted. Like, it's insane. There's not a lot of enchantment hate. There's like 3 or 4 cards that can really do it reliably, and people aren't going to be playing them very often. In their main
I mean, There's one card that bolsters and destroys an enchantment.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana one, but I mean, even that's really not good enough for the main deck. That's really a 23rd card.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't play it main deck, but
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're not going to be running into it very much in game one. So Citadel Siege is just unfair, and I resolved it a lot. I ran up against a lot of mirror matches, played a couple Abzan matches, which were kind of tough. But there was never a time during the day where I didn't feel like I had the upper hand. The other card that's amazing, there's been a lot of talk about it. Pyrotechnics. 4 colors and a red. It's a sorcery spell, and it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any numbers of target creatures or players. And the amount of times where I got at least a 2-for-1, often a 3-for-1, every time I resolved this spell was just insane. So the deck was very good. Another one I think is a little underrated that I'll probably be picking higher than I thought I was going to is Bathe in Dragonfire, right? Just like the strictly worse Flame Slash.
Yeah.
Like 2 colorless and a red to deal 4, it was still just like enough. Like it was always enough to just spin, sometimes even just my 3rd turn, removing their value creature that they played out early.
So, what makes that... Okay, so you said that was really good, but earlier we had to talk about Sandblast.
Yeah, you know why Sandblast isn't as good, right?
Huh?
Because they have to
No,
be
why?
attacking. They have to be attacking or blocking with it, right? Where this one, Bathe in Dragonfire, on your turn, you're basically choosing to like zap one of their Outlast guys that they haven't been doing anything with, right? It just gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Okay. I mean, I was thinking of the difference between 4 and 5 damage, and
No. Whereas, like, if they're willing to attack into you with something when they know you could have Sandblast, that's a lot different of a story than them thinking you'll have a sorcery speed 4 damage, right? It's a little bit of a bluffing game. And they're less likely to do stuff into a Sandblast, whereas they probably just won't see Bathe in Dragonfire coming. And you're almost always playing it on turn 3 or 4 to just start getting a little bit of incremental advantage on the battlefield. So.
yeah.
But no, I had lots of luck with all that stuff. I'm trying to think, is there anything? Oh, I felt bad. I didn't have a single heel cutter. That would have made my deck like insane. But I didn't have a single goblin heel cutter. Awesome. Okay, so I think we pretty much went over pre-release. I know we all had a good time. I had a ton of fun. I want a cool little tiny trophy and a booster box, so I can't complain. It was a ton of fun, and I'm glad WotC set it up the way they did. I'm excited to see what they're going to do for Dragons of Tarkir. I'm assuming it'll be actually really close to the way they did this one, because Fate Reforged is still a part of that storyline. So I'll be excited for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm ready for it as well.
Sweet.
3 more months.
3 more months, man. We got this. Okay, so let's talk about the banned and reserved list. So this came out today. Official statement from Wizards of the Coast. They have officially updated what is banned and what is restricted in constructed formats. And
Officially,
this is kind of big news, right?
they killed
yeah.
20% of the meta, and then another 15 from Delver.
So yeah, so Cameron's talking about modern, right? The modern format, which goes all the way back to what, 8th edition, 8th edition up, and 30% of the decks that were really putting up some results were decks built around the card Birthing Pod, right? And that's one of the cards that was actually today banned in modern. So they banned, just so you guys know, they officially banned Dig Through Time, which is one of the new card drawing spells, Treasure Cruise, which is basically an Ancestral Visions with a 7, Delve mana tacked on, and like I said, Birthing Pod. And then they unbanned the card Golgari Grave Troll. If you guys don't know what Golgari Grave Troll does, it's a 5 mana skeleton troll. So 4 colorless and 1 green. Golgari Grave Troll enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature in your graveyard. It also has pay 1, remove a 1/1 counter from Golgari Grave Troll, and you regenerate it. And it has Dredge 6, so you can actually put it back into your hand. You can actually get it from your graveyard Instead of drawing a card on your turn, you can mill yourself for 6 and put this guy back in your hand, cast it, and obviously it's as big as however many creatures you just put in your
Man.
graveyard.
Doesn't that sound great with a Tarmogoyf?
It does. It makes Tarmogoyf really very strong, and this guy is incredibly powerful too. So it's
Well,
interesting.
With
It-
these bans, they pretty much just made it so Tarmogoyf can just run rampant in Modern. Like, I don't, in my opinion, I mean, I can understand you banning Treasure Cruise, but I don't believe Dig Through Time had to go with it. It's just
Dig
like their reasoning behind it was just like ridiculous. And
Dig
then it
Through
goes to, I mean, sorry, Nick, hold on one second. It's just like Treasure Cruise, yeah, you're drawing 3 cards for 1 blue, but I mean, Dig Through Time was like 2 blue, and sometimes that was just too much for people. That's why they played Treasure Cruise over Dig Through Time. And I just feel like that their reasoning for getting Dig Through Time out of there was just, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Dig Through Time could have stayed. I mean, it basically draws 2 cards for 2 cards. I mean, it helps you dig through your deck for sure. But it's just nowhere near as powerful as just straight up drawing 3 cards for 1, right?
Yeah.
So that one didn't make a ton of sense to me. But in Legacy, they've also banned Treasure Cruise, just to give you an idea of how powerful the card is. Actually, the card is so powerful that it is actually restricted in Vintage, right? Which is like the turn 1 format. It's so powerful they restricted it to 1 copy in your deck legally. So.
Yeah. Nick, what were you going to say?
I mean, Watsu's decision behind banning Dig Through Time also, I mean, it's essentially, like you said, it's essentially the same thing as Treasure Cruise in a sense, in a way. I mean, just the ability to delve is just such a strong mechanic into card draw. Like, I mean, but one thing to point out is that Dig Through Time was not banned in Legacy.
Right,
Well,
2 blue is even harder to reliably
it's just
come
like,
by.
as we pointed out earlier, we didn't point it out in the podcast, but like people were already trying out Dig Through Time in Legacy because they're like, oh, here comes the ban stick by Treasure Cruise. We're going to see how Dig Through Time goes. If that gets banned with it, which it didn't in Legacy, but it did in Modern. And I mean, that's the way it goes. Like, I also believe that they shouldn't have banned Pod, and they just should have unbanned more cards to counteract against Pod.
Or ban cards in Pod.
No, because Pod is the reason for the deck being made. Why not just ban the card for the deck being made?
Right.
Like, Pod was like everywhere in the last tournament that I saw. But I mean, like, yeah, they unbanned Golgari Grave Troll. Like, that just powers up Tarmogoyf even more, and then like, I mean, they could have unbanned Bloodbraid Elf. I thought that was going to be a for sure one, but then they bring back Grave Troll. I was just like, oh, well, I guess we got something back, but I mean, it wasn't what it wasn't what I was hoping for. I know Ronnie speculated on Bloodbraid Elf coming back, and I was right there with him hoping that it came back. I mean, I wasn't going to jump on that bandwagon. I was going to still stick with Delver, which I am. I'm just spicing it up a little bit now since they got rid of a good part of my deck. But like, I just didn't see a need to ban Pod. Like, yeah, it's a really powerful card, but you can also just unban some cards to like fight against it. Like,
you can also just like shatter it, right? You can just like shatter and spree that.
Multiple things you can shatter. There's just like tons of things. Like what like green red decks have Ancient Grudge.
Croson Grip. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can.
Yeah, there's multiple things to get rid of a Pod. You don't have
Surgical Extraction. That was used on me a couple nights ago.
You don't I mean, yeah, there was multiple ways to stop a Pod deck, but apparently Siege Rhino just put it over the top.
Right.
It's just like, oh, hey, we're going to keep printing these cards that makes Pod ridiculous, so...
How
about you ban Siege Rhino?
Right, that's not really a card that you can just ban in Modern. Like,
it's not the backbone of decks, right? Whereas like Pod deck variants were
Pod's like the reason why they put it in there. Like, oh hey, I can get rid of this Kitchen Finks and go get me a Siege Rhino.
Yeah, I know. That's
like a 5 points, right? That's 5 points of life that you just gained, and they just took 3.
They destroyed a whole deck.
I mean, technically they didn't, because Because I mean, if you watch a lot of modern games, people just play Siege Rhino. They didn't even have to pod into it.
Oh,
Pod
I
was
know.
Pod
I've
was
done
just
that
there as
plenty
another
of times.
source of getting out guys.
Right.
Like it was just like it for say put the deck over the top. Like you already have this ridiculous Abzan pod deck, or 4-color pod deck, however you wanted to play it, that just brought out dudes that you couldn't even counter. You had to like deal with
Right.
pod instead. So then you'd have to tune your deck to deal with pod. But in the long run, I mean, just like having it beat Abzan without pod, it's just like you can deal with that. Like
Right.
you can counter that
It's still a
creature.
good deck.
Like if you miss pod, it's on the board. Then you have to find the card to answer pod.
Right.
One card we didn't talk about that did get unbanned is World Gorger Dragon.
I
From
mean,
Legacy.
that's like gonna go in like Reanimator or like something
Maybe.
of that nature. It's not gonna really do much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone expected this card to come back, but
Well,
like,
there were degenerate things that people used to be able to do that really just aren't as back-breaking as they used to be because there's much more powerful combos now than just like world slaying the board for like a millisecond. So,
But it's only world slaying your side of the board.
right.
So like you just like bring that dude in, he hits for 7, and then literally all your stuff comes back in. So I guess you could say like you untap all your lands after he leaves. Like I guess that's like okay. Like congrats, you just did that to untap all your lands.
Right.
But if I'm right, like I mean, I guess it's in Legacy, so you're not playing shock lands. You're just playing dual lands. So I mean, you're just like for say like untapping all your lands for 3 mana to sneak this guy in.
Right.
So I mean, like it's all right. I looked at that and I saw World Gorger and I was just like, oh, okay, this really doesn't just change Legacy to begin with. Like Treasure Cruise being gone in Legacy changes. Everybody's got to tune their decks back to how it was before that card came out, which I mean, like it's not gonna per se mess up stuff. It's just gonna make people have to think back to what they were doing before, which you were like, how long's Con's been out for now?
4 months, 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So you're just like you're gonna have to go all the way back to what you were doing then, and then like do that. Plus, but at the same time, like also new cards have been added, so you have to worry about those cards changing how you're gonna make the deck, even when Treasure Cruise left. I mean, because like all Delver variants playing Treasure Cruise. You even had, I'm pretty sure Tom Ross was playing Infect with Treasure Cruise.
he's got his Splashing Blue just to play Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're just, like, splashing blue to play Treasure Cruise. I could see it being banned in Legacy. I could see it being banned in Modern. I wasn't hoping it was banned in Modern, but, I mean, like, if it was, it's like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. I played Modern without Treasure Cruise in Delver, so I'm used to it. Like,
Right.
I'll get my cards through other means. You got Serum Visions, Probe. You got other ways. Like, it's just, you don't have to rely on Treasure Cruise. Like, but it does just put, like, getting rid of Treasure Cruise, like, weakens a lot of the blue decks, and it just puts, like, green-black variant decks over the top, such as Tarmogoyf and, like, Liliana of the Veil and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do get significantly better.
Like, they bring back Grave Troll, and Tarmogoyf's like, oh, hey, buddy, let's just go destroy everybody together.
Yeah. Thanks for making me way, way, way powerful.
Like, oh, hey, you died, Dredge 6, let's do this.
Yeah. It's
Like,
Wow.
they just have it in their hand, they play Lily, discard that,
yeah.
Dredge 6,
Yep.
Tarmogoyf becomes a 4/5 probably instantaneously after that happens.
Correct. Right.
But
Okay.
I mean,
Great, isn't it?
I mean, it's all right. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, I wish Tarmogoyf wasn't as much as he was. You know, it's just like you don't really see him that much.
Well, I'm sure
Which is
you'll
weird.
start to see him that much.
I mean, you didn't really see him that much before. I didn't see him that much before Treasure Cruise came out,
Right.
which just seemed weird. But he's still like infinite amount of money, and it's just like, I mean, Modern is a lot cheaper than Legacy, because you're not paying like $100 for just like a single land, $100
Right.
plus dollars.
Right.
So,
We did there for a second, almost.
like, what, Scalding Charm was probably the
Yeah,
most.
man.
like 70 or 80.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like that was back when Delver. That's back before Treasure Cruise, which Delver was like apparently. Like I don't feel like Delver was number one at that point. It's just Modern's just weird now. I feel like with Treasure Cruise being gone, it became weird.
We're just gonna have to see how everything shakes out.
It's just like it was like we were so used to seeing Treasure Cruise everywhere, and now it's gone. It's just like, what kind of format is this?
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting how the power level of Cons and Fate Reforged is compared to like the last block.
I mean,
The last block, did we have a card? Oh, we had
Sphinx's
a
Revelation,
reprint.
Voice of Resurgence.
Thoughtseize.
No, that was 2 blocks ago, Nick.
Thoughtseize is what came back.
Oh,
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but it was a reprint. So, did we have really any new cards entering Modern from that last block?
I don't. Was Elspeth
Not
used?
really.
I mean, not really that many cards came into that set from Theros.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Yeah,
had
no,
like this huge impact on
I mean, Keranos is like a one-of in like
Yeah.
the
something
reconstructed scene with Cons.
Well, that's. I mean, it makes perfect sense because it's a, or at least the first part of it was a tricolored set, right? And in those sets, they can afford to print much more powerful cards because the mana restrictions are so much heavier, right? So when they're doing that, they're printing cards with like insane power levels. And they do not test them in older formats. They just don't. Like Aaron Forsythe has come out and he just says straight up, no, we do not strictly play test these in older formats to determine power levels. We just don't have the time. We wouldn't make any money. So
To be honest, I feel like they only just worry about standard.
they do.
And,
Yeah. I mean,
and
they
make the
limited
most
because
well
I mean, like me and you were talking about earlier, Jared. Like Pro Tour, it's literally just standard and limited.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
see Legacy, you don't see Modern. That's all they care about. Like
Yeah.
those two are like the vanity ones. Like, oh,
Totally.
you get to play with all these nice looking old cards. Like you foil out your deck and
Yeah.
you just have all these insane fun combos that you want to play. Like,
Totally. Yep.
and it's just
I mean, they're not ashamed, about it. They just say, hey, we don't test for this. We don't have any time. We wouldn't make any money if we tried to tune every single card, to be the correct power level for every single format. They just can't do that.
They can't appease everybody, so
Right.
that's why the
And it's
ban.
just easier just to ban. Yeah.
Correct.
They just
Just easier to ban or unban things and
Yeah.
just see how that works out.
All right,
Um,
guys.
Do you think it's a mistake though
To
that Termagoyf is gonna just be left unchecked here?
I mean, he's never
He's
like
always
I
been
said.
fine.
he's always been there.
Like I said, there's multiple ways to take care of the guy.
Yeah.
But there is just like you barely see him. That's why it's like you don't. He flies under the radar just enough to not be noticeable.
Well, I
but
mean,
still be
think
an
about
amazing
it.
card whenever he comes down.
Why would you be playing Termagoyf when you're delving away all your stuff?
Most of the time, the deck that you were playing Tarmogoyf in, you were not delving away anything.
There
Let me
was-
give you a good
There were
example.
bug decks and Legacy for sure.
I mean, yeah, but most of the time you were just like, you wouldn't, if you had a Tarmogoyf and you were delving things away, you were literally just counteracting your Tarmogoyf, so there's
Right.
no reason to play either one of those cards in that deck. You either chose one or chose another. Like, I guess if you want to go off their graveyard, that's nice, but that's you expecting them to be casting a bunch of spells. Like, sometimes, what if all their spells are just on the board? Like, you're going against elves. All those elves are on the board. Like, nothing's going to their graveyard except, Natural Order and, what's the card that lets them draw a creature? Draw a card every time they play a creature spell.
Gift of Nature.
Yeah, so, they were going to
Glimpse
have,
of Nature.
Yeah, Glimpse of Nature. So, they really weren't going to have much going to the graveyard.
Right.
So, if you're playing a Tarmogoyf, delving away cards is not the best option for you.
Right.
Let me give you a good example. League of Legends. You have champions, and some champions are very strong. When a nerf comes out, there are champions that are good, but then they just sort of come out of nowhere because they're like, oh my god, this champion's really good now. Same way in this specific example.
Yeah, just like some people fly under the radar. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you always hear about Tarmogoyf, but you never really see him that much. So,
Right.
like always, he just flies under the radar, but he's like still a really good guy that you have to worry about because sometimes he'll just come straight down and he's a 3-4 or he's a 4-5, depending on what you've done in the past like turn.
Right.
And it's just like, I mean, like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
There's this big fat dude, like Path to Exile, Abrupt Decay. Like, there's answers for him everywhere.
Right.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is good, which is why he's still in the format.
Yeah, why he's still there? Like, he can be answered just as much as anything else can. You can bolt him you can even bolt him like at most of the time and get him. Like, and there's also sideboard cards that just take him out. Like Relic of Progenitus, like boom, right there.
Sure.
Rest in peace. The guy's a 0-1.
Yeah.
Rest of the game. The guy is a 0-1.
Yeah.
You're just like, I love your Tarmogoyf. Let's
The
do
$200
this.
0-1. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like really expensive card is a 0-1 for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's move on a little bit and talk about our last topic here. I want to kind of get your thoughts because I don't play a lot of Standard, so I don't really know how the new cards have been released, are really going to affect the format. Again, I've gotten to play around with them a little bit, get to play with them and against them, so I have some idea of what they do. But I've really got no clue, what we're looking at as far as meta changes, meta shifts. Actually, I do have one that I think is going to happen I want to talk a little bit about. But I'm going to get your thoughts. Like what decks are you building and what cards are you citing into those decks to make new things happen? Like, what's exciting?
Well, to be honest, the meta's probably not going to shift that much.
Okay.
Like, everybody would want it to. You're just like, oh, yeah, all these new cards are coming out. We're going to be seeing a lot of new decks. But to be honest, you're not really. Like, some people are going to try and brew with the new cards, like the Brutal Horde Chiefs. Some people are going to be like, oh, Warriors, like, let's do this. But, I mean, to be honest, looking at, like, some of the cards, like Monastery Mentor, that's just going to go in another deck that's already existed.
Yeah.
And it's honestly just going to make it even more ridiculous.
You think so?
It's just going to go straight into Jeskai tokens, Jeskai Ascendancy, and it's just going to give them a Young Pyromancer variant that they didn't have.
Okay.
So on top of you playing Whirling Outburst and your Raise the Alarms, you also have this dude churning out guys that are 1/1 prowesses, and that dude is also prowess at the same time. Like, that card, it'll be good, and it'll push that card up. I've even seen people playing that guy in Blue-White Heroic. Like, you just get more guys, and you just can play anything. Like, all your enchantments, instants, and sorceries, all that stuff just...
Is it non-creature spells that make guys?
Yeah, all your non-creature spells just, like, work with that dude so well, and it's like... I mean, most of the time you're just sitting there with Blue-White Heroic just pumping out so many cards onto one guy. But the Monastery Mentor just makes it so you have multiple guys that are triggering off your same cards. And that's the one I think that'll make the most ripples in Standard. But like I said, like, not much will change. Like, I myself am working with Shaman of the Great Hunt in like a green-red aggro deck. May try and do it in like some other kind of ways, but I don't know. It's just like he seems like a really great card. I just have to work things out. The new Shock 2.0.
I like that card a lot.
Wild Slash? That'll help kind of like slow down Blue-White Heroic. Like their God's Willing to become less effective. Yeah, they get pumped up, but if you're blocking it if they're using it to save their guy, that damage isn't going to be prevented. While you're also dealing 2 damage to their guy, they're taking the damage from the guy that you're blocking with. So that always works out.
I personally like Warden of the First Tree. I think this could see as a 1 or 2 of in an Abzan deck.
To be honest, I could see him going as a 4 of in Abzan aggro list because it's a 1-drop that can work out with him. It also can become a Watch Wolf on turn 2. It's like the same thing as a Fleecebane Lion, but not at the same time. Like, Fleecebane Lion late game is... I mean, so if you look at it, like, both cards late game, you're okay with drawing. Like,
Yeah.
This dude, the warden of the first tree, like he'll come down. He's a 1/1. Yeah, you're just like yeah, we got this guy. But you can also just say you have an infinite amount of mana. Like this dude becomes a 3/3, 3/3 trample lifelink, and then after that it becomes an 8 trample lifelink. Just like, and then he becomes a 15/15, and then he becomes a 18/18.
I think he's good because he gives you stuff to do, like, with your mana, right? Like,
yeah, he's a mana dump.
He's like built-in card advantage, right? Because, like,
literally a mana dump. Honestly, in my opinion, he's not. I mean, like, I'm not gonna go and boldly say this dude's better than Figure of Destiny, but he could be like on the same. He could be on par with Figure of Destiny.
I don't know. You never played against Kithkin decks, though, man. Like,
I mean, like, I was around for them for a little bit. I mean, like, yeah, Figure of Destiny was ridiculous, but like this guy later in the game is, in my opinion, just better than.
Yeah,
Figure
later.
of Destiny.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like,
He gets a lot better, a lot bigger, a lot bigger.
It's easier to activate Figure of Destiny, but this guy later game, he's just like, I'm going to become big if you do not deal with me.
Yeah, he can get out of control.
Yeah, I mean, plus he has trample and lifelink.
Yeah.
Like where Figure of Destiny just can get chumped blocked for days.
Right. Yeah.
So this guy's gaining you life and pretty much getting over stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
But can you respond to that activation, his first
yeah,
one?
you can always respond to any like most activations off of, like if it's an instant and they're just like, oh, in response, like off of, like say like a Fleecebane Lion, they want a monstrous hit and make it indestructible. In response to your monstrous, I will kill your Fleecebane Lion because I would really not like you have a 4/4 that's never going to leave this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to deal with that. To be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if you saw Brutal Horde Chief in like some Abzan aggro decks.
You think so?
I mean, like a 2/of. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just that. Like they have that ability, but since his ability's white, they just like, oh hey, attack my Rakshasa Death Dealer I can just regenerate and literally have everything
That's
else.
7
swing at you in the
mana
face.
to do that.
Would you?
You don't have to regenerate the
6 mana.
guy. You just
6
don't.
mana.
You don't
No,
have to
it's 7.
regenerate. You don't, Jerry. You don't have to regenerate
Right.
the guy. I'm just saying, like, that's a possibility. And like, you're also just like on top of your siege rhinos that you're draining them for. You're also draining them with Horde Chief. Like, I mean,
Would
it's
you
like
take out? Would
what
you
would I
take
take out?
out?
Would I take out siege rhino for it? Never.
Yeah.
No, are you kidding me?
Okay, I'm just wondering because you're adding more to the top of your curve. How
I mean,
that
the
would
top
affect
of your curve is Wingmate Rock, not. It's not siege
No,
rhino.
it's Elspeth.
In aggro?
Elspeth
Oh,
is
are we talking about aggro or are we talking
Yeah,
about...
we're
No,
talking
I'm
about
talking about aggro. Elspeth
okay,
is in
okay.
your sideboard.
I didn't.
Top of
I
your
didn't
curve.
think that they put Wingmate Rock in the aggro deck.
It
so-
is a 4/of in aggro.
Okay. I
would-
can see it then.
I would personally like to see Soulfire Grandmaster find a place in Standard.
Okay,
Why?
that was my next card. I'm sorry I'm like taking up all this, but
No,
I
go
mean,
for it. Yeah, it's great.
I've just been like thinking of cards like Soulfire Grandmaster. It seems like
I
it
don't
looks
know,
like
man.
it's an amazing card.
It's very volatile, though.
I'm on the edge about it just because like I look at this card and then I look at Seeker of the Way and be like, which one do I want to really have in my 2 spot?
Mm-hmm.
Which both of them have their pluses and both of them have their minuses. Like Seeker of the Way it's obviously a 2/2 for 2 prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, give it lifelink. That's amazing, and it has the potential to get bigger every time you cast a spell, which also is amazing. It's like, I mean, like the downside of it is like it dies most of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
How is-
he'll get his life in. He'll get you your life, and then he'll die.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
he doesn't
doesn't-
attack well in
I
Standard.
mean, he does like into like Caryatids and Coursers. He attacks well. Like turn 2 Seeker.
Oh
Turn,
no, Secret. I'm sorry. Yeah, Soulfire Grandmaster though does
Yeah,
not
no,
attack
yeah,
well.
I was about to get that.
No, I think this would be like a keep back kind of creature.
Soulfire Grandmaster is like if you're on curve with this guy and they're like they don't have like a guy to attack. They don't have a guy. that they can block this guy and kill it, you can just
Yeah.
swing with it. Like
You're
game
getting
2
pretty
live.
lucky though at that point. Like at that point, you're probably winning anyways, right?
Yeah, I know. Like a caryatid, like if they have that,
Yeah.
you just swing, and they're just like, okay, I have to block you. You're gonna gain 2 life. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, what else? Like that doesn't really hurt me.
Do you think we could see Soulfire Grandmaster in a Jeskai burn in standard?
Yeah, like I was actually just about to get to that. So, your burn spells with Soulfire Grandmaster, like your lightning strikes become lightning helixes, your stoke the flames become war leader's helix, your Jeskai charms become war leader's helix. Like that's never bad.
I
Like
would say that sounds really good. Yeah.
like war leader's helix was 4 mana, and people were on the fringe of playing it all the time.
Yeah.
But if your lightning helixes become, if your war leader's helix become 3 mana and possibly a free mana, depending on how much you have to cast your Stoke the Flames for.
A free helix.
how is that-
Yeah.
Yeah, how is that ever bad? Like a free war leader's helix, like you take 4, I gain 4, or you can just kill a creature, I gain 4. Like it makes racing like
Yeah.
super difficult that against that kind of deck. Like
It
just-
serves
it's
like
potential
half
game
of what Sphinx's Revelation used to at that point.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and also at the same time, you have to keep Soulfire Grandmaster out on the board. And
True.
like the relative ability, that's the relative ability on Soulfire Grandmaster. I'm not a big fan of its second one. I mean, yeah, you can get back stuff like be cute and get back like a treasure cruise.
You're not going
But
to.
then, like,
though.
I mean, like most of the time, you're just playing them for a 2/2 body and gaining life off your burn. Like that's most of the time. Like you could see him. I just like a burn deck is where he belongs. Like red white burn, go for it. That
Sure,
sounds
yeah.
like the best place for him to be.
So
I
this
agree.
could be paired with Eidolon and Great Rebel.
I don't believe so because they fight over a spot.
Mm.
One's double
But
red.
both are really good though.
I
I mean,
mean,
I
don't
just
get me
don't
wrong.
think it. I don't think it fits. Eidolon fits in standard though, unfortunately.
He had his time in standard where the curves were super low. I mean, but now you got all this meta is mid range everywhere.
Yeah.
You're resolving siege rhinos, doomwake giants, hornet queens, Dissy, all that stuff. Like
How-
This is going to be in Jeskai control.
Yeah, how are the controls
how are
going to change?
Okay,
Anger the
Like
Gods.
Abzan control?
okay? Abzan control has never existed.
It does, actually. Have you not checked any of the MTGO standard dailies?
I do, and the control lists are like black blue, and Esper, and blue white. Like
Yeah, the most
I've
popular-
never seen Abzan control.
I could post the last
Alright, okay.
7. The last
Okay,
7
well,
have been Abzan
nonetheless-
control.
Nonetheless, the control decks that are mattering standard, like the one that I see getting the most boost to its playability all around is blue-black control. Like you get Crux of Fate, you get a pretty nice finisher, and man, I'm probably gonna butcher this guy's name super badly. Silmagur, the black blue dragon.
Silumgar.
Silumgar, okay. I was close. I went Gur instead of Gar. That guy mixed with Crux of Fate sounds really appeasing to me, and also him being like the biggest counter to Elspeth since any other card printed
Since
after.
Hero Downfall.
Since Hero's Downfall, which came out in the same set as her. It's just like he flies under her radar of destroying everything on board. He doesn't even have to die to Crux of Fate. You're one board wipe. He doesn't have to die. Just I'll destroy everything that's not a dragon. So most of the time you're not killing a Stormbreath dragon, but hey, your Stormbreath dragon's not getting by my guy in the first place. So why do I care? And then also they have introduction to Ugin, which also gives them another win condition, and it gives them another board wipe. Like they don't have and also your Perilous Fault stays with Ugin. So, like, that's a plus in my opinion. Like, Ugin just seems like the best guy for that deck, and like in so many ways. Other control decks, I mean, like the Splash of White. You get like Nyx Fleece Ram to counteract like super heavy aggro decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I like that
I mean,
card.
Jeskai control. I mean, I've seen people try to do that, but I just don't see it ever working that much. Like black is just too good of a color to be skipping out on. I feel like black blue X decks that are control, like either you play blue black control or you play Esper control. That's what it should be. Like, I mean, blue white is always okay. I mean, like I can't remember what his name is from SCG. He just pilots blue white control for days. Apparently, he just can't let it die.
Nice.
I mean, you lost Sphinx's Revelation, Supreme Verdict, Detention Sphere. Like, just let it die, man. Just go blue black. You gotta. But other than that, I mean, I really haven't, like, Valorous Stance seems like another kind of really good card for this. Like, you can put like any deck with white, except for like a deck that would like be like a control deck with white in it. Like, that seems like the only deck that wouldn't want that. Like, that card's pretty good. Like, destroy a creature with power, with the toughness of 4 or greater, which is like pretty good amount of creatures in this standard format. That just seems pretty good in my opinion. And
I think it's very powerful.
the potential to save a guy.
Yeah.
It seems like
Save my value guy or kill your like Siege Rhino. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I even got to the possibility of thinking, like, could this card move its way into Modern? Haven't really decided on what it. I mean, like, it's all right, but at the same time, I'm just like there's better cards. But yeah, that's what I think about some of the standard cards right now. I could go deeper, but I mean, like, I just don't. I could talk to you for like hours and hours.
No, I think that was awesome.
I'm just gonna call it on that.
No, I think that was a really good overview. We're coming up to the mark here where we probably want to start ending it so you guys don't fall asleep on us. But no, that was awesome, Jeremy. I really appreciate it. I think we got some really exciting stuff to look forward to, and I can't wait. You know, I think it's actually the standard format's going to expand even more than it has. It's the best standard format we've seen in years, maybe a decade. So it's exciting.
On that note, for you saying that, I've heard multiple like players, not just like at our shop or anything. Like, I've heard BBD, Brad Nelson, Todd Anderson, most of the people who do versus videos for Star City Games saying like this is like the best standard format for a really long time. And I'd agree with them. Like, there's multiple decks. Like, there's no one standout deck. Like, any week it could be a new winner.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, good on WotC for doing that. So, all right. So just to wrap it up here, you guys, you know, we had an awesome time at pre-releases. We hope everybody got out to have some good fun and test out the new cards. And we're going to be really excited to talk to you more about them as we kind of evolve our play experience, getting time to play with them, figuring out both the limited and constructed formats. You know, figuring stuff out in the wake of all these changes in both modern and the Eternal formats. So. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. I think we had a lot of fun, a lot of good discussion. You guys got to meet Cameron, so that was awesome. You know, make sure, hopefully you're watching this video on YouTube at Play Better Magic, all one word. You can check us out streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/bettermagic. You can bookmark our website at playbettermagic.com. That's all one word. And we hope to hear from you guys soon. Please leave comments in the comment section, and we'll get in touch and we'll talk to you. So
tune in on Twitch this weekend, but I'm pretty sure a couple of us will be doing some Fate Reforged pre-releases on there. So just go if you go to Twitch and give us a follow and see when we're doing that. That would be amazing. Come watch us and just help us out.
Why are you hating on the box openings on Friday night?
Oh, okay, yeah. Also, I'm sorry, I completely spaced out on the box
Let's start over on that one.
There will also be box openings Friday night after we get done at F&M. So if anybody, I mean, I'm pretty sure there will be ones before us, but hey, if you want to come out and just watch us rip open some packs, which Jared, I know, will be dying inside when we do it, that would be, like, cool. Just discuss what cards you like and get your feedback on some of the cards as well, so that would be pretty cool.
So you guys are awesome. You're a great community. We appreciate you watching every week, and we'll talk to you next time. Until then, make sure you're always playing better Magic.